The apron of Goodloe Rim at 4,480 feet, looking southwest over Langell Valley to Bryant Mountain, 6 miles out and 12 miles long. Arriving at night, headlights on the driveway gate, piled high with tumbleweeds. Rimrock, valley, drifting clouds, I hold no deed, but all of it holds me. In Wetside Woods, I look up for glory. Dryside, I look out and far. My view for miles, hayfields, pasture, sparse homes, barns, Bryant Mountain beyond. Eight magpies, 5 watch, 3 splash sumptuously in the small pond. The pasture trees heavy with apples, deer rise on hind legs. Merely to glimpse a wild critter eases some hurt I forgot I had. Bully, loudmouth, don't hog the feeder, jaybird. What's so hot about you? Spend too much time alone, you start talking to birds. That stanza originally featured Donald Trump, but I was wisely advised to get all that strain out of the book, just a distraction. The 3 aspens, yellow leaves quiver in a breeze I can't feel. Sleek does drink and nuzzle at the pond. On my keyboard, a gray hair. This apron is Goodloe Rim slowly weathering, crumbling toward the valley floor. Junipers and sagebrush are my neighbors, amply spaced, agreeably quiet. 5 stray cows rip grass by the pond this morning. Upslope, the deer watch. Squirrel in the crabapple nibbles a sour fruit, too sweet to carry home. Zazen, the eye who breathes, the eye who counts. Have we two even met? Midnight walk, no moon, the sky specked, studded, swirled, jammed with stars. Only a minuscule fraction, of course, of the roughly 100 billion stars in the Milky Way, which in turn is one of at least 100 billion galaxies in the universe. No star in my sight or beyond is original. After the Big Bang, as the gassy brew of the cosmos cooled and darkened, some scientists believe that enormous filaments of invisible dark matter formed a cosmic web. Gravity, strongest at nodes where filaments crossed or came close, gradually gathered clouds of the brew, squeezing the densest clumps harder and hotter until they flared with nuclear fusion. So the first generation of stars was born. There was light in the cosmos, seen nowhere by no one. Those shaky blue giants soon blew up, their matter rejoining the cosmic flux as space-time expanded. Stars blinked on in new galaxies, and galaxies gathered in clusters, all loosely guided, perhaps, by the unseen infrastructure of the cosmic web. If the force of gravity were just a hair weaker, the bang might have yielded nothing but the gassy brew. the slightest bit stronger, it would have produced bigger stars that would have burned faster and died sooner before planetary life had a chance to evolve. In either case, we would not have happened. Time, matter, and the forces of nature, without discernible intent, created a universe where life was possible. True night is extinct where most of us live, but on the dry side, it thrives. Bring children here. Tell them, you came of this bright heaven. You belong. Twilight, harvest moon, a tractor growls, geese fly, talking. I write these verses. If all day I remind myself to be mindful, is that mindfulness? Big sagebrush is its name. This one stands 6 feet tall on twisting, shaggy stems. Crush some leaves, bury your nose, breathe deep. You only thought you were awake. Wet side, symphony in green major. Dry side, undertones, grace notes, solo songs. No hidden thrush sings here. In open sky, a redtail's harsh, whistling cry. The nightlights of Langell Valley, still a sparse constellation, 40 years on. Cougar, who ghosted by the critter cam last night, you saw my lit window. I was writing, less sure of my direction than you were of yours. Ah, trapped spider, evolution did not plan on sinks. The rut is on. Does mingle, quick step uneasy around the pond. Big buck lowers antlers, fakes a charge. Forked horn turns tail. Scoot, Junior. Doe steps lightly away. Buck plods after, down into junipers and dusk. Town bustles, noisy streets, stores. Is anyone amazed that we exist? I love those cheerful in their work, especially when I'm one of them. City woman heard in a tavern. Over here, I've got room to fluff. That's why I go to taverns. Yeah. All day a clouded pewter sky, flooded now with blood orange light. Bones, a husk of hide. Yearling deer, where does your flesh roam now? Contrails dissolve to hazy mist, not dimming the too warm December sun. A drippy day. All night I dream the moist scent of sage and juniper. A doe lifts her head, drops from her muzzle, start ripple rings in the pond. 2 inches overnight. It's cold, blank. Why does snow feel like such warm grace? Tea leaves, Sumatran coffee, Mexican chile seeds, Immigrants richen the compost. Two quail at sundown poke downhill, flutter to their juniper roost. Fly, I'm reading, you're buzzing. My mind is too small for you to get lost in. I worked hard at that one. Books for me, not screens. My fingers love the pages smell so good. Coyotes yip and wail tonight. They feast, they sing, they rouse my spirit. Walking the road past midnight, Christmas week, a brilliant scatter of stars. Every birth of a human child, every birth of every kind on earth is the latest in a long lineage. The Big Bang, the first stars, the cluster of galaxies known as the local group, and the second largest member of that group, our Milky Way. In a spur off one of its spiraling arms about 4.5 billion years ago, gravity worked on a whirling disk of matter, a mix of debris from exploded stars and the original gassy brew, and resolved it into a yellow dwarf star of average size with 8 or 9 orbiting planets and countless leftover rocks. The molten mass of Earth, pummeled by asteroids and comets, slowly cooled and crusted over. Epochs of rain made the oceans. Probably in seafloor thermal vents, when Earth was still quite young, organic molecules somehow organized and learned the trick of replication. No poet, priest, philosopher, or scientist can tell us how this came about. Yet, eons later, here we are, with at least an inkling of our story. Time, matter, and the forces of nature, without discernible intent, produced a planet that readily gave birth to life. Silver light suffuses gray clouds over Bryant as they let fall a shower. The pond skinned with creased ice this morning. A spider begins an expedition. One fawn scattered bones. Her twin stands by their mother, eligible for winter. Moonrise over Goodloe sends juniper shadows far downhill on frosted grass. From winter. Critter tracks crisscross fresh snow this morning. News, but not the stories. As I meditate, a mouse pauses at the toe of my left slipper. That told me I was meditating well. Snowfall, muffled hush, dark form glides above. Eagle in a snowstorm? Gone. Wild animals catch my eye. Of course, I used to be one. Wolves, come home. The quiet of moon and stars wants your voices. I open my arms with love, but the deer just stare, as if I've landed from Mars. A fawn's black and white flag goes up, black pellets rain to the snow. Some think DNA makings did arrive from space in meteorites. Carbon, oxygen, water, organic compounds, the cosmos teems with life stuff. Billions of planets in just the Milky Way, but life on Earth alone? Many suns in many skies out there, many worlds of distant relatives. Hope they wait a while. We haven't even learned to converse with crows. Moonlight walk, small heifer, belly ripped wide. Spooked, I turned for home, clacking sticks. Cougar, I'd be honored to meet you, in daylight and not for a meal. The fear that prey feel is enlivening. Mind clears, senses sharpen. We'd feel it more often if our great menace didn't wear a familiar face. And now it's spring. A distant throaty bugling. Did I hear it? Sandhill cranes return. High swirls of cloud shot through with hazy rays, rambunctious wind down here. Whoop, 71 and had to learn it again. Don't piss into wind. Social distancing? No problem. Junipers have done it for ages. Flickered jackhammers under the eave by the fake owl, there to scare it off. Pack rat gnaws inside a wall, squirrels scuttle below decks. It's spring. April 9th, 82 degrees, damp dead grasses drying to tinder. Spring's first mosquito drilled me in the neck. She died doing what she loved. Ah, nature. Big wasp eats small moth head first, wing bits in the easy breeze. The screen door bangs as I step out. Gray doves swarm from the maple. Actually, that's storm from the maple. Mountain bike tips. Crunch. I'm fine, but this sage I crushed might be 100 years old. Open country now, buttercups, paintbrush, the rocky lookout over Miller Creek. 500 feet down, water rushes white and green, just a murmur up here. I sing through stone, the murmur might say. I called you here, I know the way. Long before any critter could hear this primordial voice, this fluent tongue, mind and heart can know just a pittance of what is, yet such a fullness. If we weren't human, we would not sense the majesty of the given world. The mind that withdraws us can, for moments, make us whole again in awe. Consciousness, this fleeting glimpse, a bubble in the stream, precious past measure. As I head home, orange sunset promises no less than orange dawn. In the final section, summer, the global ecological mess we humans are making is much on my mind, and it culminates in this sequence. The book doesn't end, but for our safekeeping, we built a house for us, our pets, and all our things. The house sheltered us from wild beasts, but not from our own kind. We lived freely, unconcerned with what we took from earth or gave to it. Floors sagged, walls cracked, but still we believed the foundation was sound. The house tilts now. It quakes in wind. Seawater sloshes in the basement. Many may die, but some who live might remember our true nature. We are not random guests or hapless tourists on earth for a quick ride. We are a conspiracy of blazing stars, land and ocean, spiraling DNA. We are old as time, strong as stalwart junipers, fresh as tomorrow's dawn. We don't go into nature or come out. We are nature, its own awareness, waking. It matters then what we think, feel, say, do. We are vessels of what can be. Any mindful act can serve evolving nature, no gesture too small. Nature has all time. Nature has all chances. We have just this one. Jackrabbit zigzags hell-bent crazy along the slope, chased only by my eyes. Black bug stops, curls up at my pen's slight touch. I thought I was writing well. Mornings come brisker now. The aspen tops are tinging yellow. Crickets pulse under evening stars, their gentle chant sounding the ages. I'm melancholy, my richest mood. In 1 week, I'm leaving Goodloe. I will miss these lighted distances, to the mountain, to the stars. But I love my wet side home as well, its spiring firs and misted fields. That moist ground of fern and trillium sometimes sprouts verses, too. Dry side airs and lights the spirit. Wet side freshens the deeps of soul. Joy and sorrow mixed serve me truest, like junipers fired with sundown light. Thank you very much. Thank you. Paulann has already been introduced, but here she comes.
Thank you, Alicia. How are we doing? That pickup okay? Way in the back? Hey, I got a thumbs up there. I think that was Marilyn. Thank you. Oh, that was exactly what I needed today, what I need every day. Thank you, John. That was absolutely wonderful. And I might mention, since Marilyn gave me the thumbs up back there, that this beautiful cover of John's book is an image. Marilyn is a textile artist, and this is part, right, of a quilt design on the cover of John's book. It's perfect. It's beautiful. I grew up in Portland, southeast Portland. And my maternal grandparents were in northeast Portland. My grandfather was a furrier, the Alaska Fur Shop on Northeast Sandy Boulevard in Portland. I adored my grandparents, Nana and Archie. As I say, he was a furrier, but she worked with him at the fur shop. I spent almost every weekend with them, and on Saturdays I would be at the fur shop with them. As a child growing up, I had an ambivalence about the fur shop. But I say I loved my grandparents. That was their livelihood. That's what they did. But the pelts, those skins, the furs were beautiful, soft, shining, truly beautiful. Yet so many animal deaths there, so many animal ghosts in the fur shop. My grandparents, this Alaska Fur Shop, that was the name of it, there was a label, of course, that Nana sewed into the neck, like back here, the nape of each garment. And it had the image of a wolf with its head thrown back, howling. There is a term in this poem that you might not be familiar with. It is guard hair. And if you know about fur or anything about furriers, the guard hairs are those long, thicker hairs that curve over the shorter, softer hairs of fur. This poem is called My Muse. It has an epigraph. That little bit of information between the title and the first line of the poem. This is a Heiltsuk belief. The Heiltsuk are people from the far northwest, a tribe from the far northwest, and they say this: a wolf does not appear to us unless it wants to tell us something. A wolf does not appear to us unless it wants to tell us something. My Muse. On the Alaska Fur Shop label inside each jacket, stole, and cape my grandfather made, a she-wolf lived. With every garment of animal skins, she made herself seen, her silhouette outlined by tiny gray stitches. Throughout my childhood, she threw her head back, opened her jaws, and keened to me without ever making a sound. When I finally began to write poems, she told me, in no uncertain words, to what I make, she is sister. She and my poems speak the same tongue. Both have guard hair glinted by silver, thick coats mantled with pollen. Both slip through the night to bare their throats to sing. This poem, also about my childhood with my furrier grandparents, has the term coney in it, C-O-N-Y. And coney is rabbit fur. A furrier's grandchild. Once I'd taken my first step, my grandfather made me a fur coat and matching hat. White coney. My grandmother made the lining, pale satin to lie between the pelt's napped underside and my skin. In a year, I would outgrow that coney coat. But there would be others, each just my ascended size, and hundreds of customers' coats, the chinchilla, mink, and Persian lamb I later tried on in front of the fur shop's triptych mirror. Their length dragging the floor, their sleeves overtaking my wrists and hands. Each time I entered an animal's skin, I could feel the soft clutch of its death. Cool, sleek, gleaming. I stroked that terrible beauty. Each time the animal let me peel it away from my shoulders, let me return its fallen weight to hang from the rack's cold steel bar, I emerged, reborn. That wolf, that Alaska fur shop wolf, my muse. She is part of my animal soul. Why, in my grave, what once was me will hold a wolf amulet. Because the she-wolf's coat is coarse, because her fur is festooned with long guard hairs, stiff and silvered, because she takes in the sun, her coat gleaming with day's light. She catches this shine and funnels its heat down into her skin, she feasts on the warm-blooded world. Because she, a changeling of colors, slides through the night with a moon riding full on her back. Because that moon knows her as its familiar, its light and the sun's light being half-sisters. Because, to tell me what's what, she seeks me out more often than I deserve. Because, even though her teats are swollen, her whelps nearby, she sometimes will tarry long enough to be my muse. Moan growling, she nips, draws a bead of red from my outstretched hand, then licks it away, reminding me yet again. Words are my talismans, scent tracking their way toward me. Each word is a glinted eye piercing the dark. Each throws its head back, yowling its open-throated song. Every word is a den of ink dug into a pale page. Family, kinship, kindred. We speak of the family of man, mankind. All of us, all races, virtually, genetically identical. Well, we might look deeper, deep enough to see the family not just of man, but the family of this earth. Not just humankind, but earth kind. Because, as John so eloquently pointed out to us, everything of and in this earth descended from a common ancestor. Humans, other mammals, birds, pollen, flowers, trees, bees, the metal of this microphone, the plastic of the pen that I have in my tote bag, the circuitry of my iPhone, all things, everything is made from the recycled stuff of stars. We have kinship with every earthling, every earth thing. So, we are made of star stuff. And the sun is a star. The sun is our relative. I don't think that's quite a syllogism, but it'll do. I just put it out there. And so we should know as much about the sun as possible. The sun being our relative. So anyway, here is an important bit of information about our illustrious relative, the sun. It's called How the Sun Gets Those Flares. Sun flares. How the sun gets those flares. Well, before you can hear any of this, you must first understand the sun is female. Sun woman. Sun Woman is her name. And that does not make, by default, the moon a man. No. In fact, the sun and moon are half-sisters. Easy to see that. True enough, many stars are male. Most, in fact. But they're so far away from her, they don't really count. And Sun Woman isn't much interested in them anyway. Some time ago, she took a female lover, one who waits for her on the nether side. Each late afternoon, the sun inches down toward the horizon, nonchalant, as if she's merely listing westward. Once she touches the horizon line, she slips under, quiet-like. In minutes, she's gone. Any fool knows what happens next. She and her lover go at each other red-hot crazy. How could she possibly return at dawn unchanged? Good thing we can't watch what they're up to. We'd stare ourselves blind. Flowers. How lucky we are to be related to flowers, those astonishingly beautiful reproductive sexual entities. So here is a little backstory, some backstory about the beauties named white lilies. Lily. Drops flung from a goddess's breast formed the Milky Way, a strew of countless creamy stars. A few escaped the sky's reach, falling into our world, where each drop touched down, it bloomed. These white stars learned to call our realm their home. Fallen to earth milk, they ooze perfume, sweet and thick. An incense stolen from the sky, that alchemist of scent. And here is some backstory about honey. And this poem has an epigraph. I swear to you that this is true. But each time I look at it, each time I say it, I think, oh, could that be? Yes, it could be. 1 pound of honey contains the essence of 2 million flowers. Everybody knew that? Oh, 1 pound of honey contains the essence of 2 million flowers. Extract. Each drop brings to your tongue sex's savor, that taste of the all-out giving in, nothing but unshruggable flower heat. You're eating this earth's perfume. You've taken into your mouth more unfurled labial petals than you can count. You can't count on being able to wait a single second more. Swallow, and you set your throat on fire. In a scientific journal magazine, I believe it was Natural History, I encountered this. And obviously I've never forgotten it. The world as we know it would not exist without water and pollen. Water and pollen. Huh. This poem is called Grave Goods. And grave goods are those items placed in a grave or tomb or crypt or onto a funeral pyre with the body of the deceased. And grave goods are items deemed necessary to accompany that person into the afterlife. Grave goods. Buried with upper arms circled in gleaming bracelets, with serpentine chains hung from their necks, sent down with their own weapons, finely honed and etched bronze, accompanied by a turquoise-trimmed comb and mirror, a silver ear-pick, an ivory-handled knife to pare long nails, a 24-carat penis shield. Interred with as many coins, each a small glowing sun, as needed to reach the far shore. Even in death, the rich manage to own what's most precious. Who but the poor would collect the powder dropped from a dangle of anthers? Who but the unmoneyed would plunder a forest's marginal swales, glean a meadow plush with bloom, shake that fine dust into a deerskin pouch, then stow it away? Fall, winter, summer, spring, no matter. The beloved's body goes into the earth flecked with pollen, that weightless gold. A last poem and a little backstory on this. In India, in South India, a group of people speak an ancient language that is completely unrelated to the other Indian languages. Now, analyzing this mysterious language, scientists, linguists, discovered something astonishing. Kinship. A few of our world's people still speak a tongue so old its closest analog is birdsong. And a bird carved some 30,000 years ago may well be our first work of art. Why mimic the palaver of a thrush? From wood or stone, why shape a tern's body, its wings pressed tight against its sides? Or remember the dream moments our beating arms took hold in air, lifting us away from earth trod smooth by our feet. Why? We each possess a bird soul. On the highest branch of every family tree, a winged spirit preens in the sun, gleaming with iridescence, that sheen of our common blood. Thank you. Thank you very much. My thanks to John and Marilyn for making the trip here, doing this reading together. This is, for me, a grand occasion. I love this. This is wonderful. My thanks to Alicia Yokoyama for her hospitality. My thanks to the whole Lake Oswego Public Library staff for your hospitality. This is the Stafford Library, the library where Bill Stafford, Dorothy Stafford, Kim, Barbara, Kit, Brent came, checked out books, looked around, found new books. Actually, the place where Dorothy defended the fact that the library had, what was it, Hustler in the stacks or a magazine like that. Anyway, they were very active and ardent supporters of the library. And so it is always a joy to be in what I consider the Stafford Library. What street did Bill and Dorothy live on? They lived on Sunningdale, about 10th and Sunningdale. Yeah. Yeah, not that far away. And my thanks to all of you here tonight. My kindred, my kindred. I thank you for your presence. Thank you.